Dune, if nothing else, is for me one massive work of rhythm.
So that was Joe Wright, the editor of Dune, and he's absolutely right. Rhythm is a huge part of the editing of this movie, both um, the actual pacing of the film, the way that they cut to music at times and other times to ideas, as well as the rhythm of the acting. They took a great deal of care in being able to recognize the actors' performances as well as the world building of the film. So, the upcoming scene that I'm going to talk about is one that uses the acting performances as well as the setting of the film to guide the editing of the film. And I think it uses it in a really interesting way. So let's just watch the scene.
Why do we have to go through all this when it's already been decided?
Ceremony?
Thank you.
If you want it, make me give it to you. Use the voice.
Mom, I just woke up. Give me the water.
The glass can't hear you. Come on me.
Give me the water.
Almost.
Almost.
So, this is a really great scene because it serves so many purposes at once. At the beginning of the scene, it seems like a pretty normally edited scene, but as we go deeper into it and we get to see Paul practicing his use of magic, we actually get to see some really interesting choices in editing. Not only does Joe Wright choose to show certain aspects of the house in order to give a more mystical feeling to the scene, but also the music starts to creep in. And we can also see this idea of memory come into play. So it manages to show the actual storyline of that scene while also alluding to ideas that will come into play later and introducing a really great ambiance to the film.
And, it's a real process because if you look at my first assembly, it's, probably arse-achingly long. As an editor, you could easily find low-hanging fruit to cut if you wanted to shorten the film. But you would have lost a lot. I mean, there's a little scene that I love, which is where Paul Atreides meets a gardener on Arrakis, and he sees the palm trees, and the gardener explains the sacrifice that's made to keep these palm trees alive and to keep an old dream alive. So, you could cut that, but you'd lose the depth and the storytelling and the world building. And in this film, I don't think I've seen any other film that has got this level of world building. As an editor, it would just be foolish to disregard that.
So this brings into play my other favorite thing about the editing of Dune, which is how it uses not only rhythm to motivate its editing, but ideas themselves. So in the scene we're about to see, the editor focuses more so on the idea of what the narration that Paul is listening to suggest rather than the rhythm of the scene. And it creates a really beautiful and actually a really rhythmic scene that I don't think you would have gotten if you were just trying to economize rather than focusing on things such as story, ambiance, and world building.
Regions of Arrakis, The Fremen share the deep desert with the giant sandworms, known to the Fremen as Shai Hulud. Long exposure to spice has given the tribe their characteristic blue eyes, the eyes of Ibad. Little else is known of the Fremen, except that they are dangerous and unreliable. Fremen attacks make spice harvesting extremely hazardous. For the Fremen, spice is the sacred hallucinogen, which preserves life and brings enormous health benefits. For the Imperium, spice is used by the navigators of the Spacing Guild to find safe paths between the stars. Without spice, interstellar travel is impossible, making it by far the most valuable substance in the universe.
So yeah, I definitely don't think that Dune is the first movie to use any of these types of editing techniques, but I thought it was really refreshing to see a fantasy or sci-fi film that actually takes the time to really revel in the story and in the world building that had been laid out for them. I thought that the editing of the film really added to the experience and made it so that even though the film was pretty long, it didn't feel long or unnecessarily smushed together in order to tell a lot of story in a short amount of time. So I think that Dune's editing is a really genius use of rhythm and time, as well as ideological editing, which is something that we've talked about a few times, but that I hadn't really seen in a lot of movies before.